Let's take a journey through the story of Canada, a land famous for its hockey heroes, and yes, that iconic maple syrup. But beyond the stereotypes, Canada is a vast country hiding some wild statistics. With roughly 2 million lakes, it holds more than half of all the freshwater lakes on Earth. Imagine that. This immense region has been home to resilient indigenous peoples for thousands of years. People who not only survived the punishing winters, but built deep, diverse cultures across the land. But when did the first outsiders show up? The Vikings were actually the pioneers, centuries before Columbus ever set sail. Around the year 1000, Norse explorers founded a small settlement in Newfoundland. We still don't know exactly what happened. Did they move on, intermarry with local tribes, or simply vanish? The mystery lingers. Centuries later, in 1497, Italian navigator Giovanni Caboto, better known as John Cabot, sailed under the English flag and made landfall on another part of North America's eastern coast, boldly claiming it for England. Soon, Spanish and Portuguese explorers followed, mostly sticking to transient fishing stations before the French swept in. In 1534, Jacques Cartier mapped the Gulf and River St. Lawrence, naming both for a saint whose feast day happened to coincide with his arrival. The word Canada itself, a twist on the indigenous term for village or settlement. Permanent settlements were hard-won. Early French colonies struggled against starvation, disease, and harsh winters. But eventually, Quebec and Port Royal took root. By the late 1600s, England's southern colonies were expanding northward, reaching Newfoundland and the Hudson Bay. Then came the fur trade. A fashion craze in Europe for beaver felt hats fueled a northern gold rush. Not for precious metals, but pelts. French and English trappers plunged into the wilds in search of fortune. But with fortunes came friction. The French and English clashed fiercely, especially during the infamous Beaver Wars. Indigenous nations got caught in the crossfire, but also seized opportunity. The powerful Iroquois Confederacy, armed now with European muskets, first teamed up with Dutch traders, then the English, launching aggressive raids to control the fur flow. The French, in turn, worked closely with rival native tribes, leading to decades of warfare, delicate alliances, and brutal peace deals that shifted surprisingly little of the land. By the early 18th century, the colonial chessboard was crowded. French Canada and Louisiana, and pockets like Acadia and Placentia, changed hands with the British after treaties and wars in Europe reverberated across the Atlantic. Here's a little twist. The Hudson's Bay Company, born as a fur-trading titan back then, is still around today, though now it's better known for its retail stores than wilderness adventures. But numbers matter. Outmaneuvered, French settlers found themselves outnumbered almost 10 to 1 by their English neighbors as the next big war loomed. During the 7 Years' War, known in North America as the French and Indian War, colonial lines were redrawn. French-speaking Acadians were expelled, many ending up in Louisiana. Ever notice their connection to Cajun culture? Both France and Britain funneled troops into brutal campaigns, but when the smoke cleared, France ceded Canada to Britain. North America remained sparsely settled, ravaged by war and disease, especially among its indigenous peoples. Next came another seismic shift, the American Revolution. As their southern neighbors rebelled against Britain, many loyalists fled north, reshaping Canadian society. During the War of 1812, both sides tried and failed to change the border, with stalemate and hard negotiations setting boundaries we mostly recognize today. As the 1800s rolled on, simmering ambitions for self-government among Canadians sparked uprisings. Though quickly put down, these movements forced Britain's hand. A united province of Canada was created, and meaningful local democracy followed. The map evolved. Vancouver Island became Canadian. The logging boom replaced the fading fur trade, and newcomers poured in. 1867 was a turning point. Canada at last became a self-governing country, its own place on the map, though still linked to Britain. The sprawling Hudson's Bay Company sold its vast territories to the new government, touching off unrest among the Métis, Canada's unique blend of First Nations and European heritage. Led by Louis Riel, they fought for their land and rights, and though many demands were respected, further rebellions followed. Riel himself would become a divisive figure, regarded as both martyr and traitor, even today. And can we talk about the railway? The vision of steel stretching from coast to coast wasn't just about progress. It was a lifeline that brought the regions together and made Canada, as we know it, possible. Not long after, the Klondike Gold Rush drew another wave of hopefuls northward. Most of them found only cold and hardship. But the dream of striking it rich persisted. Canada faced harsh times, slow growth until high immigration and a strong economy took off in the early 20th century. During the First World War, Canada, still under the UK's wing, sent over 600,000 soldiers to Europe, an immense sacrifice that left the country forever changed. The devastating losses sparked a new sense of national pride and the quest for more autonomy. The painful lessons of the past century paid off. By the 1930s, hard times struck again with the Great Depression, throwing many Canadians into jobless camps. Then came World War II, with more than 1 million Canadians serving, and nearly 100,000 dead or wounded. These sacrifices brought Canada into focus, as a nation both distinct and united. By 1949, Newfoundland joined as the final province, and in 1965, the red and white maple leaf flag we know today was adopted. Although, fun fact, there were some wild alternatives. Which do you think would have stood out more? Drop your thoughts below. I'd love to hear your picks. 1982 marked true independence. Canada cut the last constitutional ties to Britain, writing its own rules and reaffirming the monarchy only as a symbolic figurehead. Today, more than 36 million Canadians call the country home, with over 1/5 speaking French as their first language, and the economy consistently ranking among the world's top 10. Of course, not everything is settled. Quebec has twice come close to voting for independence, the last time in 1995 by the slimmest of margins. The question of unity is still alive and well. Now, I want to know your take. Which Canadian province would you most love to visit or call home? Think you could handle the Yukon's wilds? Or are you more of a city lover, eyeing Toronto or Montreal? Don't be shy. Share your stories and opinions down below. If you enjoyed this journey through Canada's wild history and want more deep dives like this, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. It really helps out and keeps you in the loop for our next adventure. And a huge thanks to everyone who supports these explorations on Patreon. You're the real backbone of this channel. Thanks for sticking around till the end. There's so much history to uncover, and we're only getting started. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.